All right. We're back again with the It's My Turn podcast. I'm your host, Myron Turner. And look, it's already been an amazing ride thus far. Thank you so much for all the support of everyone that's actually been supporting early on. I always like to start these off with a thank you. And we appreciate everything, that you're doing. Got a few listeners over in the UK and a few listeners in the States already. And definitely, of course, a few listeners here in New Zealand. So we're going to keep this going. I believe is passion and purpose behind the It's My Turn podcast. What we're trying to do on this podcast is try to get the exact pivotal moment when you actually made a decision to give yourself permission. And you can say permission to whatever. Today, we're going to talk about something that's affecting everybody, whether it's directly or indirectly. And that would be artificial intelligence, the world of AI. And we think it's high time to actually embrace it. And you get two sides of the coin when it comes to this, who as far as embracing AI. So today I wanted to talk to someone who knows a lot about the subject matter. His name is Danny. I've known Danny for a very, very long time. I'm gonna just not I don't want to not do him justice and give him a proper introduction before he starts giving all that wisdom in his head. So Danny, I'll also have a link to his LinkedIn afterwards. I'll put it in the description and everything. But let me tell you a few words about Danny. So Danny works at one of New Zealand's big four banks, where he is closely involved in shaping AI adoption across the organization. He brings over 15 years in data analytics and business intelligence, with the last 3 years focused on exploring and applying AI in real world settings. Beyond his day job, he actively studies emerging AI developments, has completed multiple micro credentials, speaks at events, builds AI applications, and shares practical insights with a growing social media audience on the future and impact of AI. So, like I said, this is the guy to talk to about this subject matter. So we're going to talk about AI today. And without further ado, I'm going to shut up now and let this man hit us with some knowledge. Please welcome Danny.
Thank you, Myron. Thank you for having me in your podcast. I'm really, really glad to be here, and yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
I'm looking forward to it too because I've known you for a long time, but I think 50% of that stuff I did not know. So
well, I mean, there's definitely a little bit more to me than obviously that than I usually let out. But
yeah,
there
nice
you
to
go.
meet you.
Nice to meet you, Myron.
Next thing you're gonna tell me, you actually a middle-aged white man.
Well, I mean,
Or you maybe identify as a white man.
well, in this days you can identify as anything, right? But
Now when you get pulled over,
let's
now you get pulled over, you can.
let's not go there, right?
That's
now.
not even
That's
gonna.
a different
Different
discussion,
podcast. Different podcast for different
yes.
day. Okay, so look, the first question that I had written in my notes is, how significant is the rise of AI in our generation?
Well, that's a again really good sort of question to start with, because when I think about AI now, you almost have to go back to something like the industrial revolution of the 1800s, right? And how that changed manufacturing, changed how people worked, right? You'd have to look at something like, I don't know, Oppenheimer, who essentially was involved in inventing or working on the atomic bomb, and how that completely changed modern warfare, right? You'd have to look at something like the late what was that? I think early 2000s or thereabouts, when the internet essentially was sort of invented, and how again overnight that fundamentally changed how we work. And so you have to look at AI as one of those pivotal moments where this is gonna change how we work. This is going to change how we live. This is going to change how we do stuff, basically, right? It is absolutely it's a groundbreaking moment. It's a pivotal moment that I don't think a lot of people actually fully understand that, right? But AI has the potential to fundamentally change how the world is shaped, how we do stuff, how we communicate, how everything is done. Basically, it is that critical, right? For this generation right now, for us that are living, we're very fortunate to be in this moment where we're seeing the rise of AI. And I'll say to people that actually, like don't get left behind, right? But we discuss this later. But yeah, so it's a very pivotal moment right now that we're in.
But it's easy to say don't get left behind. What do you say to the people who are afraid of AI, who are scared of it? If they've experienced it and it was just too much. Like, for example, I don't know if I shared with you. I think I did share this video with you. I was talking to AI about the I work in recruitment. For those of you who don't know, I was talking to AI about a CV that I was asking for it to brush up before I sent it to my client. And this thing started talking to me in a normal New Zealand accent, and it's the inflections for me. It was just like, oh, and it giggled. I'm like, why are you giggling? Who are what? This is too much. How do you giggle? Like, and then I even asked it. I was like, how are you sounding so human? And it was like, oh, like I have to because it makes you feel more comfortable. And I was just like,
that's right. That's what we're getting. That's what we're getting to. Yes. I mean, look, going back to your question. So, there are people that, for whatever reason, are afraid of it. There are people that are uncertain. They don't know what it's about. And there are people that are obviously pretty eager to embrace it as well. For those that are afraid of it, I guess the first thing I'd probably say is that you really have to kind of ask your question around. You ask yourself the question: what's the core at the fear of AI? Right? Have you tried it? Has it done something that scared you off, or is it just you've heard about AI and potentially AI taking over jobs, and you're thinking about Terminator and all of those things? So what is at the base of the fear that you have, right? Because I see that whenever you talk to people to understand why they're scared of something, and you unpack that, right, you get to a stage where actually that fear is almost non-existent, right? So I think like anything else that's new, you're always going to have people that are afraid and sure. Right?
Because it's new.
Because it's new. That's only because the nature of it. Absolutely, that's it.
Okay.
Only because it's new, right? But look, I think again, it's normal to be scared of things, but don't let it actually stop you from actually looking into it.
Okay. So in my notes, I know this is a big question, but I'm gonna ask you to try to answer the best you can. What are the different types of AI? Because AI is not a blanket thing. We always think of ChatGPT when we think of AI because that's all we know. It's this irritating YouTube ad that comes up every time I'm on a computer. If you're over 40, you probably only know about ChatGPT.
Yeah, probably not wrong.
Well, I know more than ChatGPT, and I'm almost 40.
Yeah, and I can talk about that, but let's get to your question.
Yeah, the question, like, okay, so what are the different types? And I guess maybe you can even expand that to applications in real life.
Okay, so I guess before we get to trying to answer the question of the different types of AI, I think it's important to at least unpack or at least understand what AI actually is and what it means.
Go for it.
Right? So AI, and hopefully everyone knows this, but obviously it stands for artificial intelligence. Right? Now, the idea and artificial intelligence is not new. I don't know whether most people know this, but it's been around since the 50s. It's actually it's been around for quite a while. Yeah, it's been around since the 50s. And the idea behind artificial intelligence is essentially to try and create machines that mimic human behavior, right? Like reasoning, perception, and decision making. That's the idea behind artificial intelligence. As human beings, we're very good at those things, because that's naturally what we tend to do. You can look at something, you can perceive something, you can think through the thing, and you can make decisions, right? Now, artificial intelligence is essentially trying to make machines that can do that. Right? So that's the first thing. So artificial intelligence in itself, or AI, is an umbrella term, right? And under that AI umbrella term, there are components underneath it. You can talk about things like kind of machine learning, can talk about things like kind of neural networks and deep learning and so on and so forth. But I think for the purpose of this discussion, the one component of AI that's quite important for people to understand is generative AI, or Gen AI. Right? So Gen AI, as the term suggests, is essentially AI that actually generates novel or new content, right? So no more traditional artificial intelligence is good at recognizing patterns, analyzing data, and making predictions, right? AI is good at that. But Gen AI is quite different, because then Gen AI actually goes beyond just looking at patterns. It actually goes ahead and creates new content, right? So the way it works is that you could essentially train a machine to recognize what a dog is by feeding it 10,000 images of a dog, right?
Okay.
So you will understand what a dog looks like, right? So what Gen AI can then do, you can then say to Gen AI, can you now create me a unique image of a dog, right? So it will go ahead and create that image of a dog for you because it's been trained on lots and lots of data or images of dogs, right? So that's kind of what Gen AI is. That's what Gen AI differs slightly from traditional AI. So traditional AI, pattern recognition, predictions, data analysis, and then Gen AI, literally in the term Gen AI, generative AI, it generates content, right? So that's kind of, I think, in terms of answering the question of the different types of AI, I feel like maybe there's those components you just mentioned are the ones that are a bit more important right now. There are other things like ASI, which is artificial super intelligence. There are things like artificial general intelligence and a whole bunch of other things. But for now, I think those distinctions that I've made are probably good enough for now, I think.
You wrote here on the notes that I gave you. You said one way I like to explain generative AI, even though some AI persists, might cringe a little, is to think about autocomplete on your phone.
Yes.
If you type "I am so ... your phone suggests words like tired, sorry, or happy because it's learned how people usually finish that sentence. And you say Gen AI works on a similar principle, just on a much larger and more sophisticated scale.
Correct. And I think, yeah, you're right. So basically the way, and like I said, your AI purist would not like this obviously definition or explanation. But when you think about autocomplete on your phone, when you type in a message, like I said earlier, if you type something like "I am very," your phone will suggest things like words like tired, sad, annoyed type thing, right? Because then it knows that usually when people write "I am very," the words that tend to follow up with is essentially those, tired, sad, annoyed, hungry, and so on and so forth. So your phone tries to predict what you're going to say next, right? So in essence, that's kind of what artificial intelligence is, right? But again, the difference, like I said earlier, Gen AI, on the other hand, actually generates new content, right? So it's trained on a vast amount of data, and then it will generate content based on the training data, right? So that's kind of how it works.
It will generate content based on the training data. So
yes.
it does matter to know how to prompt.
Oh yeah, I mean, so one of the basic things around AI is you basically need to understand how to interact with an AI, right? Which is what prompting is, right? Prompting is you writing an instructions to the AI or to the large language model, right? Underneath the whatever sort of interface you're using.
Is that what your shirt is about?
Basically, yeah, that's right. Large language models are my love language. That's right. Yeah. So LLMs, right? So LLMs are essentially what power most of the AI systems that most of us use right now. So you generally, the ChatGPT, for example, has a large language model underneath. So when you hear people talk about things like GPT-4 or GPT-5 and things like what's the other one? Google Gemini 2.5 Pro. Those are the large language models that power any AI system, basically.
Okay, for the person who has not embraced AI and they're listening to this and they're like, oh, actually, listening to him explain it, it's not that scary. It's not that weird. It's not that out there after all. I would like to get my fingers dirty with this a little bit with basic tasks, and just so I can learn how would you tell them to go about that? Like, what do you think they should do first?
First things first, the first thing I'll probably say actually is that, interestingly, a lot of the access to AI is for the most part free, right? Almost anyone can actually have a ChatGPT account, and then they've got daily limits where they can use ChatGPT for a certain amount of time at no cost whatsoever. So first things first, you can get access to AI for free. You don't need to pay for it. Right. Of course, there are pro subscriptions that give you more features and so on and so forth. But literally anyone can get a free account. Yeah. It's not open source per se.
Okay.
It's just
misuse of the term.
Yeah, it's not quite the right term to use.
Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's very clear.
There are open source models, I should say.
Yeah.
But in this context, that's not really the case. But anyway, the point here that I'm making is that firstly, anyone can get access to AI right now, right? So you can go online, just search for ChatGPT, you on Google, and then you get a link, sign up, start using it for free. You can use Microsoft Copilot, which is actually free as well. You can use Google Gemini, which is free. You can use Anthropic, which is free. There's so many AI tools out there that you can use that are free. So first thing I'd say is that actually just get an account, right? Second thing is that once you get an account, I highly recommend that you just start to play around with it, right? Just ask basic questions, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing I've probably said to people as well is that, you want to learn the basics of what a good prompt is, right? So a prompt is essentially here's the thing, if you go to ChatGPT right now and ask something like, write me a poem, right? it will write you something, but it's not going to be very good because you haven't given it enough context, right? You haven't said, okay, can you write me a poem about this topic, with these components, and about, to like you give it more context, basically, right? So the first thing I say to people is that get an account. Secondly, learn the basics of prompting or talking or interacting with an AI, basically.
Bro, on that topic, he's absolutely right. Because on that topic, I started to play. This is when I was new to it. I started to play around with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me be specific. Could you let me know what the Star Spangled Banner would sound like if Bone Thugs and Harmony did that? And that thing hit all 4 members of Bone.
Did he actually write verses?
Bro, it was like when I kept on it, the blood. I was red, white, and blue be on the feet. I was like, oh snap! Can you show me Lil Wayne? Maybe Lil Wayne doing stars. And it was like, hit the red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
That's my banner, man. I was like,
wow. That's actually really good, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, like the thing about AI and a lot of the AI tools that we have got access to right now, they've basically been trained on everything you could argue that's on the internet. Right. So if Lil Wayne or Bone Thugs and Harmony or any other artist, if they've got content online, whether they like it or not, that content has been fed into the model basically to train it. This is why you can literally say to it, write me a verse in the in the sound of Biggie Smalls or Tupac or whatever the person is, right? It will write that for you exactly. Well, it will write that for you exactly. Well,
3 hours of my life gone
right? Well, there you go then, right? Because it's been trained on that. It's been trained on that data basically. It's crazy. It's absolutely amazing what you can do with it.
Yeah, but that's the silly stuff. But like, I think I want to get you. I didn't write this down in the questions, but so this same person that you're speaking to right now, who's this? Okay, they're getting used to AI. They're embracing it finally.
Yeah.
What do you feel they can do to help their life? Like, okay, we can play around with it and it can entertain us, obviously, but which is what people did at first when it was new. Like, oh, make Arnold Schwarzenegger sing a funny song. But I actually have used it at work. I use it every day at work now.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I've used it outside of work for personal projects. So what could be the real life applications that can actually show enhancements in someone's life?
Oh, I mean, that's a bit of a difficult question to answer, mainly because it really depends on, for example, what the person is doing, right? But okay, the way I look at it is that if you are what's called a white collar worker, right? Someone who essentially sits in front of a computer, right?
And you have to do tasks.
And you have to do something on your computer, basically, right? AI can absolutely help you do whatever you do relatively well, right? Can improve how you do it to an extent, right? Of course, I mean, don't be under the illusion AI can't do everything for sure, right? But again, if you are literally putting your fingers on the keyboard and typing stuff and have to think through stuff, AIs or AI models are really good at that, right? So think of it this way. So if part of your role or your job is to go online and do research, right? The value you get from that research is not so much you having to search for content and read through the content and then and trying to figure out what the content is, right? It's really you being able to get the nuggets from that content yourself. So if the AI can do the research for you, right, and then help you just identify the bits that you need from that research, it saves you having to read through 100 documents, right? You could literally say to the AI, okay, well, here's a topic that I really want to get into.
But isn't it lazy?
Well, it depends, right? So, and I think we have to redefine certain terms, basically, right? You might say that it's lazy, but think of it this way. More often than not, as a human being, if you're going to go online and search for content, right? You might argue that, part of your searching, you're learning in that as well, right? Because that's traditionally how we've learned stuff, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. We don't have to learn the same way, basically, right? I think now with AI, you can rethink how you learn, what you need to learn, and what you need to commit to memory as well. It's almost kind of like the way I look at it, and not everyone will agree with this, but it's like having a calculator, basically, right? Without a calculator previously, you had to be really good at maths, right? You have to be really good at remembering how do you multiply certain things, how do you do all of this stuff, right?
Absolutely.
But with the calculator, you don't now really need to be able to remember how to essentially multiply really complex numbers, right? You understand the idea behind multiplication, right? So therefore, you can use a calculator to then get to the number that you want. See what I mean? That's the difference here, right? So with AI, it's not so much that, and this is an argument I've heard so many times. Yes, AI can make people lazy, but it only amplifies what's already in someone, basically, right? So if you're already a lazy person, when you use AI, you're just going to become even more lazy, right? If you're a creative person, you use AI, at first, it's going to be really frustrating, right? Because you're going to find there's so many limitations, but you're actually going to start to get more creative the more you use it.
It's funny though, 'cause the lazy people is what who changed the world. You know, you can think about the remote control. We have the remote control to the TV because we're too lazy to get up and change the channel. I mean,
Yeah.
now
Yep.
we have a dishwasher because we're too lazy to wash the
You
dishes.
have to do it by hand. Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
it's all that. So it actually makes sense. So in closing reflection, what would you say to someone who feels AI is beyond them or beneath them? And I want you to explain both sides. The reason why I say that is because I was talking to someone who I won't I won't say their name,
Yeah.
but they definitely are in the 60 plus bracket,
Right.
and they feel like ill AI.
Yeah.
This person AI will completely transform this person's business. And I
Yes.
said that, and I was like, "You're still working too hard. It's 2025. It was 2025 then,
Yeah.
2026 now."
Yeah.
But I was like, 2025, you're working too hard with AI out here. He's like, "No, I don't need that.
Yeah.
My business is my people." What did he say? He said, "My people, the people I deal with, they don't use AI. The people I
See how
deal
long
with, they
that's gonna
don't use
last.
technology."
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, "Whoa!" So he feels like he's above it. But then you have the people who feel like, "Look, I just can't. Like,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, but I just can't. I'm not. That's for smart people."
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Look, I think I mean I've the example of someone who's above it is an interesting one. It's not one that I've heard a lot, right? More often than not, what I tend to hear is essentially people being either afraid because they think that it's having to learn something completely new, right? And people just don't have time for that. And you're right, and I've noticed as well that usually those that are slightly older, I'd even say like anyone above 40, usually, right? Those people that are stuck in their ways, they might find it a little bit harder to actually adopt AI, mainly because they think, well, actually, I have to learn a new skill. I'm too busy to learn this particular skill. I just don't have the time. But then I feel like one of the reasons for that is because people are just not giving it an opportunity. That's why, right? They haven't seen it do something that essentially changes how they work, saves them time, right? It's one of those things where once you actually start to use it, like test it out, uh, look at something that you do regularly and then see how AI can improve that thing, and you see the benefits of that. Usually there's no going back, right? But more often than not, people actually are not afraid to make a start, to even give it a try, right? And like I said earlier, if you're a white collar worker, right, I tell you this. This is a fact, right? You can only run away for so long. I can tell you that right now, right? It will come a point where we're going to look back and be like, how did we work with that AI before? Right, the same way when the internet was kind of invented. I don't know if it's the right word to use, but when the internet kind of was made a lot more public and people started to use it. Previous to that, a lot of people just got on naturally, did things normally without the internet. But right now, can you imagine the world without the internet? You can't.
Absolutely not.
Right, and it took a while for people to eventually come up to speed and actually understand how important the internet was. And AI is going to become like the internet. So if right now you're resisting and saying, well, no, I don't have time and so on and so forth, chances are that you're going to get left behind. And if you work for a large corporate organization or even any company that's got a lot of people that are dealing with data, it's only a matter of time before your organization potentially introduces AI, right? And if you are still afraid of actually, getting involved, it's either going to be you're going to be forced to pick it up and learn, right? And when you're forced to pick up and learn something, you don't usually pick it up the same, right? Whereas if you do it naturally, you tend to do it in your own time and so on. And so yeah, you're either going to be forced to learn it, right? Or you're going to be shown the door, basically, right? And I've got so many examples. Just go online and find organizations that are making changes to how they work because of adopting AI.
That's it,
right? There are companies that are restructuring, that are changing, who they're hiring, mainly because they're preparing for this age of AI that we're in. So if you're afraid of AI, look at yourself in terms of, okay, what do I do? What is my job right now? What is a possibility that AI in the next year, in the next 2 years, can come along and disrupt my job, right? And so we are at that kind of early stage. In all fairness, maybe not early anymore, but we're at the stage where it's not too late for people to learn, right? So I'm encouraging people, get into it.
I love that. It's not too late to learn.
It's not too late to learn.
It's not too late to learn.
It's not too late to learn at all, right? So if you're afraid of it, give it a chance. And if you're above it, I don't even know what that means, right? The example that you gave is an interesting one. I feel like, this person, I don't know what company they ran, but
they're in real estate. So they feel like because they sell high-end items, it has to have that personal touch. And they have a misconception about AI. They basically think that you basically sitting at home on a computer and the AI is doing everything for you, and you remove yourself completely out the equation.
Yeah.
That's what he thinks.
Okay. Well, yeah. So basically, and this I think again comes down to maybe not having a really good appreciation or understanding of AI and what it can do, right? So yeah, look, there are some professions where you will still need that human touch for sure, right? But again, in real estate, I'd imagine talking to people is one aspect of what you do, but there's paperwork to be done, there's research to be done, there's writing stuff to be done, right? That's the stuff AI does really well. So as a matter of fact, actually, this person that you're talking to, you get them to come and talk to me, right? But the point here I'm making is that actually, AI can basically free them up to do what they do best as a human being, which is talking to people, right? So the admin stuff that they do, right? AI can actually start to do that stuff really, really well for them, free them up to be able to do more stuff. That needs a human touch to start off with.
Like in conclusion, like I cannot. I've always been a late bloomer in life. Like I've always been the one that gets things the second time around, not the first time around. And I'm telling you, if you're like me and you wasn't the guy who sat in the front of the class and you weren't the straight A student, but you were the guy copying the homework from the straight A student. If you're like me, AI is a game changer. It literally fills in all of the gaps that you thought you had cognitively. It's just like, wow. Like what I'm doing at work has changed. What I do outside of work is my productivity has increased like 800%. I'm not even exaggerating.
That's awesome.
What I'm able to do, and I have been able to turn that into real dollars. I'm not what I'm able to do now, because I'm a super creative person. What I'm able to do now versus what I was able to do, prior to this, is night and day. It's just like,
it's a again, like, give AI a chance, right? And some of the things that you can do with it right now, and the thing about AI as well is that it's getting better by the day, right? The things that AI was not able to do 3 months ago, right? Right now, it can probably do that stuff, right? There's a good example that I tend to. So if you get a chance, have a look at this online. Go online and search for the AI Will Smith AI test or something like that, right? It's a video essentially that shows the progression of how AI is evolving, especially within video generation, right? I think the video that was made when ChatGPT first came out in 2022, 2023 time is, picture of Will Smith, video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. It's going all over his face and right? And at that time, we're like, oh my goodness. And, an AI, created this video using a prompt, right? So that was pretty amazing. But 2 years later, if you see the videos that have been generated now, it is absolutely incredible, to an extent that right now I'm telling you, right? If you see anything online, question it, right? If you see anything online right now, question that thing, because it's almost impossible right now to tell which videos are AI generated, which ones are not, right? Because the technology has evolved at such a pace. It got so much better. So people are thinking, well, no, I tried AI 6 months ago. It didn't really work too well for me because it couldn't do ABCD, or try it again now. Chances are that it could probably do that ABCD and some.
If you're watching this, there's a possibility that we both can be two small Vietnamese girls.
Correct, right? This could literally just be an AI overlay. Absolutely, right?
The Matrix was trying to tell us years ago. Okay, last but not least, this is the very last thing, I promise. Did you see the most recent Mission Impossible?
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Okay, so that is about AI.
Okay.
So the last two Tom Cruise movies, the Mission Impossible movies, are about AI. In this movie, he brilliantly decided that the villain is going to be.
Oh, hold on! Please don't tell me, because I haven't seen it. I want to see it, so don't spoil it for me.
Well, no, that's not spoiling it. That's just common knowledge.
Okay.
They're dealing with.
I don't know about this. So it's not common.
Okay, the last two movies. Just watch it.
The last two.
That's all I'll tell you.
Okay, I'll watch it.
But thank you so much for doing this, man. And I would like you to potentially come back for part 2, if possible.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to do that.
More so in the realm of how this can transition into the financial space.
Yes.
Okay. I really think that you can add a lot of value in that space, and talking about finances and our culture, finances in our community.
Yeah.
Cool. And awesome. I think that'd be really good. But for now, thank you so much. I will put info to Danny's LinkedIn on the description of this episode. But this has been episode 6 of It's My Turn podcast with Myron Turner. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
Cool. Thank you. 5:22. Time to go.